can get started. Do I need to call the meeting to order?
Go for it, Chair.
Do I need to call? Yes, call it.
Yes.
Yep.
Officially called. Okay. Officially called to order. Yeah. Okay. 12:01. Let's go around and introduce ourselves. Michelle Lefebvre, Chair of the Exemptions Committee.
Winona Thone, member of the Exemptions Committee.
Go ahead, Ron.
Ron Terry, member of Exemptions Committee.
Makala Kamawana, member.
Maybe me, Tom Eisen with the what program I'm with. What's it called these days? Environmental Review Program.
What day of the week is it? Yeah.
I know that. Oh. Tuesdays.
Royce, are you there? Can you hear us? He stepped away for a minute after he logged on. Right, well, we can proceed, and then when Royce joins in, we can have him introduce himself. All right. Well, we have quorum, so I think we can proceed to the first item on the agenda, which was review of the April 2023 Exemption Committee meeting minutes. And thanks to Ron for drafting those. It was still while Ron was chair, and they just sort of, I think, fell between the cracks for a little bit, but now we've got them back up. So are there any comments on those meeting minutes?
No, thank you, Ron, for doing that.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. But I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Right. So the April 2023 meeting minutes are approved.
Oh, we didn't vote yet.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. All in favor. Thank you.
We're in discussion now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're in discussion.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor?
Yes. Okay.
All right. All voted yes. So now the meeting minutes are approved.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Ron, for doing that. Am I just getting older, but my recollection of things that happened 6 months ago, 7 months ago, not the great.
Yeah. Well, I think I took the minute, did the minutes right after the meeting on with the recording. I think Les was still around then. He sent me the recording. So yeah, I know. I don't remember any of this ever happening.
I kind of felt, well, I mean, as I'm reading it, I was like, oh yeah, we did have this, we did have this discussion. So yeah, really good minutes, Ron. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I don't know if they heard you, Michelle.
Christina, are you there from OHCD? We see you on the screen. Would you mind introducing yourself? Both Royce and Christina, but I don't know if they can hear us or just they can't speak. They're on mute, but
I'm sorry, I'm here, but I'm not sure if Christina, sorry. Yeah, I'm going back and forth between two meetings, but I'm not sure if Christina's there. She's in Kona, that's fine.
I'm here. Sorry, I'm just helping another staff person get online. Sorry, but I'm here.
okay. And sorry, would you guys just mind introducing yourself really quick for the notes?
Hi, I'm Christina Pinedo with the Office of Housing and Community Development. I work in our Kona office in our Community Development Division.
Thank you. Hi, Royce, now we can see you.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
Yeah, good morning. Royce Shiroma from the County of Hawaii Office of Housing. I work in the Grants Management Division, and here for the OECD exemption request. Thank you.
Thank you for introducing yourself. We appreciate it. And yeah, so that takes us to actually the next item on the agenda, which was to review and discuss the OHCD exemption list. We started that discussion last week, and we really appreciate OHCD sending us their list for review. A few items came up during the internal committee's discussion, and so I sent the list of comments that we had come up with. We can go through those now. I know, Ron, you weren't at that meeting, so I think we can walk through those now, but the long and short of it is that OHCD was fine with the edits that we had discussed and is willing to make all of them. But I think it would be useful to walk through those together now, and that way, if any discussion comes up, we can have it now.
Okay.
That sound good?
Michelle, yeah, one question. So the comments we gave last time haven't yet been made to the copy of the exemption list that was attached to our agenda. Is that?
Oh, that's correct. Right. That's right. They were just done in an email format. I see. So that, yeah. Okay. We need to get those.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're clear in case folks don't see comments that they made or changes.
Right. Right. Since it was just our internal discussion, we figured we didn't know if anything else would come up in this meeting, so I didn't want to make changes once and then a second time.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for clarifying. Okay. So I think the first one that when the committee chatted, the first one we had a question and asked for a little bit of clarification on was the exemption type 2, part 2, 1A, which was under structure. So this was under replace or reconstruct existing structures in shoreline areas. And we asked for clarification because this was about seawalls, replacing or reconstructing existing ancillary structures, including seawalls, revetments, and other similar structures. So our question to OHCD was, did OHCD have any seawalls? Was this something that, that they had a project they were thinking of specifically? And Royce clarified that no, there were no seawalls maintained by OHCD.
Great. Because it's not easy to do.
Yeah. So thank you, Royce, for clarifying that. But in that case, then, I mean, are you folks okay with deleting the including seawalls language? And Ron, I'm glad that you're at this meeting because you have the best recollection. I thought that in past lists we had deleted the including seawalls from other exemption lists, but
We have tried, and we may have missed a list or two, but that's something that we try to scrub from every single list. And even if they don't mention seawalls, we ask them to include a phrase that says excluding seawalls for things like not so much maintenance, repair, but for reconstruction or any new seawalls. That there is explicitly excluded from the exemption list, so that if you guys were ever to try to reconstruct a seawall or build a new one, that you would engage in an EA for that.
Okay. Thanks, Ron, for that. Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, maintaining existing is different from replacing and reconstructing or replacing new ones. So,
right.
Yeah, Royce, if you folks would, be willing to maybe put in parentheticals in that one, excluding seawalls instead of including seawalls, I think that would be more in line with, the practice that we've taken with other exemption lists.
Yeah. So then Onana would replace or reconstruct existing ancillary structures, including revetments and other similar structures, excluding seawalls.
Yep. Move that to like the end of the excluding the parenthetical to the end. Yeah.
Would that work, Royce?
Sorry, yeah, they would.
Okay.
Well, I see someone else joined. Anne Bailey, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm in the Office of Housing. I'm based in Kona. And nice to meet you folks. It's nice to see everybody. Happy holidays.
Welcome.
And I did note, like Ron said, I know that OHCD, based their list primarily off HHFDC's list, and that was a type 2, part 2 exemption in the HHFDC list. But just because it's there doesn't mean it should stay there, given what we know now. Okay. So we understood where it came from, but where things are now, and the fact that OHCD is not maintaining any of those structures, it doesn't make sense to keep it there.
Keep it in there, right? Okay. Thank you.
one was under the type 3 exemption. It was the part 2, number 5. So that was the rehabilitation. That was just a rewording suggestion, and Royce was fine with the suggestion, just to clarify.
This is that the and is supposed to be an or was the
Yeah.
and intentional?
Yeah, essentially. So originally it read rehabilitation of non-residential structures that would not, 1, result in a change in size or capacity by more than 20%, and 2, involve changes in land use that could include but are not limited to the following. And then they included 4 bullets. It seemed like what we were trying to say is rehabilitation of non-residential structures, including office maintenance. So sort of working the bullets up into what types of structures we were talking about.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
okay.
right, that would not result in 1, a change in size or capacity, or 2, involve changes in land use. So I think it was a restructuring, but I don't think I had captured the or in our conversation, Onauna, when I communicated that to Roy. So I think it would be, oh no, the or is there. Sorry, that is there. So would not result in this change in size or capacity or involve a change in land use.
Mhm.
So, and that was okay by Royce.
Okay.
All right, then under the type 6 exemption, part 1, 2A. Oops, sorry, there was one before that. Sorry, 1A, reservoirs. Maka'ala had concerns about reservoirs, and if any reservoirs are currently being maintained by OHCD, and Royce answered no, there are no reservoirs maintained by OHCD.
Thank you.
So that being the case, are we okay to leave it in, or?
Why is it there if they don't have any?
Yeah, I guess, is there a situation in the future where the department would acquire reservoirs or develop reservoirs?
No, most likely not.
Most likely not, okay.
I would think not, but you know.
So removing it is okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and I think
That's
some
true.
of our questions, sorry, just to give a little bit more context, if you don't mind, Michelle,
Please.
was really, what kind of reservoirs are, were you guys intending by that language? Are they, small reservoirs? Are they, big reservoirs? Are they above ground, below ground? You know what I mean? So those were some of the questions we had when you folks weren't here before. We were going to make, that decision on whether or not the language should come out. But if you're not maintaining any types of reservoirs at all, then I think that's okay. And there's no opportunity or plan for the agency to do it in the future, then okay to take it out. But we also don't want to put you folks in a position where, oh shoot, you do acquire a piece of land or whatnot, and it has, a water storage tank or something, and now you can't maintain it, right? Or take it down. So that's why we just wanted a little bit more information on what the thought was with that language.
well, and for me, it's different than a water storage tank. They specifically name storage tanks. That's a whole separate issue. For me, Royce, I'll just tell you that we have some reservoirs we're trying to keep, trying to hang on to. It's a struggle. And so at least I would want a good examination of the potential of even removing it. Because some of them provide real flood control. You take it out and then you've caused a problem. So as long as you don't own any and don't anticipate, I can't imagine, but I know you guys acquire property. So, I guess it could happen. If it does, I don't want it to be, I would want an EA for removal.
So are you
If
guys
it's
good
not
with?
on, if it's not on the list at all, I mean, if they don't have it at all, then then it's not exempted, then they'd have to look at it anyway.
And this is under type 6, so that's a demo.
Right,
Demolition of, yeah.
right.
Yeah, let me just caution something here, though. Just because something is not on the list doesn't mean you can't exempt it.
Right.
The legal basis for exemptions is Title 11, 200.1, not the exemption list. So the exemption list is meant as guidance to the agency, so to make it easier for you guys to do exemptions. And it's also for the public and other agencies to have some transparency about what you would normally plan to exempt, especially type 1 and type 2. So if the situation arises someday where you do have a reservoir, this doesn't mean that you can't exempt it just because you don't have it on here. But I think this discussion helps highlight the fact that any action with a reservoir is sensitive, and that a lot of thought needs to go into what you do on a reservoir. This is probably more important for a place like Kauai than it is for the Big Island, but it's still something for you to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, good point, Ron. Thank you.
So are we good with striking reservoirs from the part 1A? Royce?
I am.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If OHCD is.
I think I see Royce nodding. I think we're okay on our end. Thank you.
Great. And like I said, I did see that in the HHMPC list. We realized that it was there, and that's where you guys were basing yours off of. Okay, so the other one was under also type 6, part 1, 2A. So this was retaining walls. So demolition or removal, buildings and structures, retaining walls, and other slope stabilization structures.
Yeah, and I think this question came for me just because I'm working, with a client on a slope stabilization project. So, I guess I just wanted to understand, I guess, the scale of the types of retaining walls and slope structures that stabilization structures that you folks do as an agency, because not to say, again, it can't be exempted, but maybe it's more of a part 2 exemption. So you guys have to do an exemption determination rather than having it under part 1, just so that there's a little bit more of analysis that goes into it.
Yeah, which item is this again? Sorry.
Exemption type 6, it's on page 12, exemption type 6, part 1, number 2A. It's the 4th bullet point down.
Ah, got it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I don't know if Royce or anybody else can explain, I guess, what kind of slope stabilization structures you folks would be demolishing, I guess.
I guess I would say that we usually put them up, then demolish them.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be the norm. We are in a hilly environment here. So I know in some of our subdivisions, we put them up. We don't really take them down.
I think that was our discussion last time. Was, well, if you take them down, what's going to happen, right? If they were up there,
and what goes there, yeah.
What was it showing up, and then what happens when you take them down? So we just thought, oh, that would might be something, as Onapna said, that we would may want to consider. But that's also what we thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Move from part 1 to part 2, I guess, was the suggestion, right?
Yeah, I think I'd be a little bit more comfortable with that. And again, I presume that in that situation where it's a stabilization structure, maybe you're going to put something else back up. So perhaps that the taking down gets considered with the replacing at some point. But yeah, that one just made me a little bit nervous in putting it in a part 1.
Yeah, if it's just pure demolition.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so if you put,
I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, because for us, I mean, we are in a very sensitive earthquake environment over here. So it's more of a repair situation for us. If something gets cracked, we're trying to stabilize it again.
Right.
And Royce had responded that he was okay with moving that to part two. So.
Great.
Okay, the next one was also type 6, part 1, number 2. This one was D. The very last bullet under infrastructure and utilities. So fuel, gas, propane, storage, collection, distribution systems. And our suggestion was to move that to part 2 to be consistent with the hazardous materials text that occurs in part 2.
Mhm.
And Royce responded they were okay with moving that to
Okay.
part 2. I see that Harry and Linda joined. Would you mind introducing yourselves quickly? Sorry for the call.
Harry Yada, Assistant Administrator, Office of Housing. Thank you.
I think you're on mute, Linda.
Hello.
There you are.
Yeah. Linda Boy, Office of Housing.
Okay, so that brings us to the last item, which was type 9. Part 1, number 3. Oh, I think that was just an editorial. Sorry, that was just the addition of a comma. But not improvement of comma. And with that was just editorial.
Okay. I think that's fine. The only other formatting comment I think I had other than those was just to add the date, an updated date to the cover sheet, which can be done kind of on the last round. And then usually what we'll do is, if and when the council concurs, it'll be like concurred by the council on such and such date. So yeah, doesn't need to happen now, but I mean, it might be good to have put an updated date for now, although you guys do have it in your cover letter, so that'll be published, right? Yeah.
So then, were there any other comments on the list from the committee?
None for me.
None from me. Thank you, Michelle. That was a good review. I think we're all just a little hypersensitive to things that say fuel at this point. But it's a good lesson for us. So thank you very much, Royce, for being so willing to make the changes and responsive. It really helps. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everybody from the agency for joining the call. And so, yeah, Michelle, you can talk about next steps.
Yeah, so for next steps, this being my first list, maybe Ron, you can jump in here too, but is the best thing for them to make the edits to the list, and then do we need those edits to take it to the full council, or can we vote to recommend to the full council?
In the past, we have gone ahead and said there's going to be these 5 edits, and the agency has agreed, and we don't have the copy just yet, but we're going to have it any minute or tomorrow, and we're all comfortable with it. And so that we can accelerate the publication of the list for the 15-day comment period. So in this case, I would say, I would recommend that we do that from my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did agendize on the full council the action item to approve for the 15-day publication for the 15-day comment period. So yeah, if the committee is willing to recommend it out, we can take action on that at today's meeting, which will start at 1 o'clock. So we'd probably have you folks on at about 1:05, thereabouts, 1:07, if you wanted to join for the council vote. Yeah.
So do we need a motion in the committee to?
Yeah, I move to approve the OHCD list as amended.
Second.
And forward it to the full council for consideration.
For
Right.
the 15.
I guess I should say I move to recommend approval of the list for publication.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Tom, go ahead. You were going to jump in and say something.
maybe it's slightly premature at this point, but when it does get submitted to us for publication, well, if it wants to make the the December 23rd issue, then December 18th is the deadline to get it to us after the council has agreed it and it's been finished or finalized. That's the deadline to submit it to us to make the December 23rd issue.
Okay.
Royce, does that work for your team to make those edits to the list? Great. Great. So it
Thank
sounds
you.
like we'll be able to make that. Okay,
Great.
so we had the motion and the second. So all in favor of recommending to the full council? All right, everyone voted aye. Great. All right, well, I think that's all for the OHCD folks. Thanks again for coming. And then if you folks can, as Onana said, join on the 105 call when we go to full council, just in case since they've had access to the list too. If they have any other additional questions, you guys can be on the meeting to address them then.
Sorry,
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was just gonna ask one more question on our end. To submit those revisions, is that then goes to Tom for publication, or are we, okay, that's our next submission. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no problem. You can copy Michelle on the email just so she can, do a quick check over to make sure the edits are made. I was going to add one more thing before you folks leave, so we don't have to go over the full process in council, but after the 15-day comment period, if you're published on the 23rd, I think you're not going to make our January meeting. So probably, I think our January meeting is going to be the second week of January. We'll do the timeline. I got to check to see if we'll hit that agenda deadline. So we might not be able to get you guys on until our February meeting for the final concurrence vote. So apologies, there's still a little bit of a delay just because of the timing of the comment period and when our next meeting is. And we'll do that math a little bit better when you're not watching me do the math, but just anticipating we'll probably see you guys again in February after the comment period.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks all of you
Thanks.
for coming. Appreciate it.
But the rest of the councils or committee stay home.
Yeah.
Put everyone
Great.
hang up.
We won't.
Yeah. Okay, wait, yeah, so 23rd, let me do the math now. Oh no, yeah, I think we'll miss.
Yeah, no way.
We'll just miss that. I think we did talk about a January 10th meeting, or we'll talk about that next, but I think we're gonna miss that agenda deadline, so we wouldn't see them until February. Okay.
Great. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks for helping me.
Good job.
Next
Yeah,
item.
great.
Next item is the CWRM revision. So we started to talk about this at last month's meeting, and Onauna and Maka'ala started noticing some other things in the list, and then we realized that the list, we weren't 100% certain if the list had been approved, and I think we're also running out of time, so we pushed it off to this meeting. I did check, and the CWRM list, it looks different.
It was approved. It was definitely approved.
Sorry, yep, 2021.
Did we concur with it in 2021? Because I thought they came to see us and then we asked for some changes and then they never came back for like a while.
It's on the website, listed as a exemption, county agency exemption list, concurred with by the Environmental Council on January 5th, 2021.
2021? So why did they resubmit it?
So their request was just one edit to the list under exemption class 3 part 1. They were adding number 7, which read domestic well construction for any use of water for individual personal needs and for household purposes such as drinking, bathing, heating, cooking, non-commercial gardening, and sanitation with pump capacity up to 40 gallons a minute.
Yeah, this is real interesting because this wasn't considered a 343 action until now, I believe. And I think what they're implicitly telling us is that they do consider it a 343 action. That the well permit was not considered a discretionary permit before. It was more of a ministerial permit. You meet the criterion for, oh, well, you know, you do it the right way, the casing, the this, the that, and you get your permit. Like a building permit is ministerial. It's not discretionary. And I believe, I'm just guessing, that that's how Seaworm treated domestic wells, but people have become more sensitive to domestic wells, and now they're saying, well, we're going to have to, they're in the 343 ambit. And, you know, I wasn't here for the last couple meetings. I apologize. But I think this is, you know, that just sort of came to me, and I wonder if we might want to explore this a little more and do some research on our own, unless you guys are probably quicker on the draw than me and you've already thought about this.
No,
Yes, we have.
yeah. No, we didn't, because we started going through some specific, you know, things, and I guess we can come back to those if that was the only change. But I think where we got stuck we got stuck on two things. One, we did run out of time because we spent a lot more careful review of the OHCD list. And then two, we couldn't recall. I had some recollection of Seaworm coming to see us. We provided some edits, and then I didn't recall them coming back. Gosh, I really need to like take ginkgo or something, but
I kind of remember the whole process pretty well. Lenore OA and the folks, they really spent a lot of time with us. Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
I was 99% sure it was approved, and I told Michelle that, and she looked it up.
And we did have it in the minutes that we approved, that we concurred with their list, or
I didn't go back to check the minutes. I just
okay.
went and looked at the agency exemption list on the
you know,
RP.
let me check the minutes, because I had some recollection that we asked for edits and they didn't come back. So let me try to do that now. But in that case, I mean, how come their list doesn't say concurred?
So the list,
On that
the
page.
one that they sent us had the edit in it. And so I think they removed the concurred part, but the list
for
on
this
the
new-
website, the list on the website does say
Concurred as of that
does say
date.
concurred. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I'm sure means that I'm sure we concurred with it.
Yeah.
And I recall concurring with it.
Yeah, I think they took it off this one because they had added the new one that they're requesting be added. So they took the
Okay.
I would like to have them come if we can get somebody from there and explain it. I think they're going to probably say what I said, but I'd like to hear it. I think it's interesting, and because if it isn't the 343 ambit, I have personally no problem with exempting it. I think not exempting domestic wells as a matter of policy would be chaos and unjustified. But on the other hand, if it is in the ambit of 343, that means that clause about not applicable in a especially sensitive area, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'd like to see that they, go through some sort of process. And if it's a part 1 exemption, where is that going to be documented? Because there's no requirement to do anything at all. So that's, I just wonder. And on the other hand, I'm not saying that they should do a part 2 exemption, because that's not easy. But I'd like to hear how many well applications do they get a month, and what other, I know it goes before the Seaworm for approval, right? I assume that it is agendized on a board meeting, I guess. And so there's probably a staff report. I just kind of like to go through the mechanics of this a little bit I hope I don't freak them out, but you guys curious about this too, or is that just me?
No, very curious, and I'll tell you, the last two community association meetings we've had on the North Shore here that have had water department and seaworm presentations, the community is very concerned about what they know and don't know. How many straws are in the drink? How many wells are there? And we get a lot of we don't know. So I think it's the we don't know part that has folks concerned, and we get reports periodically up here of all of a sudden the well water's not potable, not really good for whatever reason. So there's two concerns the community's brought up fairly recently within the last 6 months around here.
And then you have the issue of water management areas. You know,
we don't have any on Kauai, but yeah.
But we have them on Maui, we have them on the Big Island, they have them on Oahu. And those, you know, are you part wanting domestic wells in water management areas too? And then they say, you know, we have a perfectly adequate, you know, mechanism for dealing with analysis of environmental effects from wells. That's our application process and our public review and blah, blah, but I'd just like to hear it explained. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That
I
makes
agree.
sense. Sorry, Michelle, what was the date again that it says it was concurred with?
January 5th, 2021.
January 5th. Okay. And you know, now that I'm looking at our minutes, maybe that was Kauai Department of Water that didn't come back. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of the water guys.
I think we eventually ended up with concurring with them too, but it took 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, moly.
We go slow over here.
Yeah, you're right. We did. It's in our minutes. We did concur with their list.
Yeah, it was a really long time, and that's the only agency on Kauai that we've ever even received a submittal from.
Yeah.
So,
2022 was that list. Yeah, Kauai Department of Water.
Okay. Those were
but
the
I was talking to them for years.
Okay.
So,
all right. We did concur with Seaworm on everything else. So
I'll send an invite to them to our next meeting so they can discuss it.
There is a staff that's been asking about should he attend, so there's obviously someone willing to come and speak and hopefully answer questions. Hopefully he knows about these concerns. A question that comes to my mind about the issue Ron's bringing up, if this is essentially setting precedent for bringing something into the realm of 343, and it's not crystal clear in my mind how the jurisdictional thing is divided between the state, Seaworm, and the counties, but this could have implications for the county departments of water also. So, you know, maybe there should be some consideration of what they think, whether this is the right context to do it, I don't know, but
yeah,
this could be a broader issue.
At the very least, I think they were hoping, if I understand this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was some way to shortcut adding something to the list. And you know,
they can add it whenever they want. It just doesn't mean it's necessarily concurred with, right?
That's right. Yeah, you're right. But if it's not, if it is concurred with, I want to see it go out for public comment. You know, I want to see it. I want to see that happen first.
Yeah.
And one of the things I would want to do would be, as Tom suggested, send it to the local, you know, jurisdictions, to USGS, make sure they get a hold of it, and environmental groups and things like that. I mean, I hate to burden government agencies with unnecessary paperwork, but wells are just, you know, they're what's going on in Maui, you know, it's really clear. That's a WMA. So, but there's about a lot of domestic wells there that are front page news every week. So, you know, I really want to get their perspective.
Yeah, I think you and Tom make some really good points about I think we need to understand better what the permitting regime is like for these wells, because yeah, it is a bigger implication if something that's not necessarily considered a discretionary permit is not going to be one, right? And that's really where stuff gets brought in on these domestic private land wells that are being built on private land, right? I mean,
Right.
typically. So,
Right.
yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Let's invite them to our next meeting, sorry if they want to, get jumping on this. I guess we can always communicate to them again, like, hey, listen, you don't need us to concur with adding something to your list, but the concurrence, the benefit of having it is having had this discussion with this group of folks that, have opinions and expertise in the area, not in water. I don't have expertise in water necessarily, but in the 343 process, and then again, putting it out to public comment and having the public comment on it, that, we can remind the agency on that if there's some reason they're hesitant to just go ahead and slap it on their list right now. I mean, we're not in any position to tell them they can't put anything. It's just, whether or not they're in agreement with us, right?
Yeah, and I think, Michelle, are you prepared to have that conversation with them? You feel comfortable doing that?
So, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll start it by email and then just let them know they can call to discuss, but,
Okay,
Mhm. Okay.
great.
Thanks for reminding me, folks. Gosh, I feel my brain is really not.
Well, you got to chair a meeting in 15 minutes, so.
right.
Get it together.
I know there's getting all the agents. I was like, I know one of the water departments, there was a really long time. I thought they came to see us. We asked for changes.
You were
We-
spot on. You just had the wrong dude.
I had the
Yeah.
wrong one. Sorry. It was Kauai Water Department.
By the way, I did ask, I made a comment, every time I get an agency head around here, a department head cornered, I will say something about, exemption list. And the former county attorney and I are doing a radio show together. And I said, by the way, do you remember? He said, oh my, he said, I really thought they did. I thought all departments did. I said, oh, no. So I think the feature is, well, I just assumed I did that.
Yeah. Well, and I think again with this one, right, we tell really maybe this should be a part 2, because look at the discussion we're having on it, and anytime we have a question or there's a discussion, that's kind of our internal radar for this is more of a part 2 thing. We'd like to see some analysis and some documentation by the agency that they thought about it at least a little bit,
Yeah, I would agree. Anything dealing with water.
I guess this notion of an unconcurred list, I never really thought about that. My sense is, and maybe the misguidance that I give, although I don't recall specifically saying it, that getting concurrence is just part of the process. I don't, the notion of having a list that's not concurred to, but I guess if it's guidance, so it could be unconcurred. But yeah, that's never crossed my bow before, so it's good to
Yeah,
know.
we parsed that out with Scott during the development of the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided that, yes, there could be, if you look at the way the language is written, agencies may bring a list for concurrence. That doesn't say that
They can't
they
make
can't
it.
make a list.
I realize now that, the rules don't require it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, no one's ever asked us to publish a non-concurred one, and
Mhm.
prior to this discussion, I probably would have said no, but now I suppose we do it, maybe just have the big letters non-concurred, so that whatever that means, or whatever it's worth, it's a known fact.
I
Yeah,
think,
I don't know. That's weird. That's a weird one. Yeah, to publish a non-concurred list, that would be
Yeah.
weird.
Have it on our website.
have it on your website. Yeah, I mean, they could have it on their own website too, right? I mean, they could.
Agencies can, like you say, do whatever they want. There's no statutory requirement that they get it concurred to, so.
Well, I think part of the issue, just for everybody's recollection, was when we're doing the rules, our rules process does not incorporate the concurrence process, right? So we had the retroactivity provision on when do we want folks to come in and update their lists. We talk about generally the publication, what can be published by ERP in the notice, but we didn't have, and I think this kind of came up towards the end of our rulemaking. So, we at that point, I don't think we could introduce new stuff, right? We're getting ready, I think, to go to public hearing. But if it became an approval, right, where we have just discretion and whatnot, where did we actually have the authority for that? I think under the statute, right, we have the authority to make rules that make general types of exemptions, but there was an issue and a question of our actual authority to approve exemption lists because agencies can make the exemptions, right? The statute and the rules is really clear. Agencies with their time and experience, blah, 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 may exempt certain actions that fall into these categories. So that's why we kept it as kind of a concurrence, and we do have to make it clear to agencies that they don't need us. But again, we offer a certain benefit in terms of, we're the peer review group for their lists, right? And kind of talking through these mechanics. Like today, right? I mean, an agency, if you don't have any reservoirs, okay, well, why put it on your list, right? Kind of a thing. Or the seawalls issue. So that's kind of the context behind it. Cause yeah, I know Les was our ERP staff at that time, right? So Tom, you didn't get the benefit of those discussions, but it really came down to, do we have the actual authority to approve a list or not? And that's why it's a concurrence.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Not even a necessary concurrence. So, yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Yep. I was just rereading the language myself just to see what it said, but okay. So that takes us through the last agenda item. Is there anything else folks want to discuss, or we'd like a couple minutes to grab lunch for full council?
Yeah, I guess there's one thing that wasn't on here, and that would be next meeting date, right?
Oh, sorry, next meeting, yeah.
And it wasn't on the list, but I think it's okay. We can discuss that, right? Probably be in January.
Yeah, I think, let me see if I put it on the full council meet agenda. I think we maybe talked about it. Yeah, so we're looking at January 9th because I think the first Tuesday is January 2nd, which is the day after New Year. So presumably folks don't want to have a council meeting that day, may still be traveling for the holidays or whatnot.
Or hungover.
Or that. Supposed to be hungover the night before, but no.
Ron's got big plans.
It's a 2-day affair.
I got an Asian family, man. New Year's Day is
Oh,
a
yeah.
big.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think we discussed it at our last meeting, tentatively January 9th, but we'll discuss it again in full council.
Okay.
Let me
And
just
we
bring up
probably
now.
want an exemption committee meeting at whatever date that is, right?
Yes, yeah, we'll have a meeting for sure.
Okay.
Tom, go ahead.
I meant to bring this up later, but the submissions, I guess the agenda is being submitted for the January meetings. That submission period is during the holidays, so submit early. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but and I'll be on vacation, so there's gonna be a pinch hitter for the process.
When are
give them as much
you?
lead time as possible with getting the agendas in.
Good call.
Okay, let's talk about that at the next meeting, but I am thinking get it into you guys by the 29th. I mean, I don't know about before Christmas is the week after. I mean, we could try before.
This was pushed back a week, so yeah, it's just be mindful of the holidays in the submittal.
Yeah, maybe the 22nd. I mean, that seems reasonable, right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk to folks. Let's see what we got coming up.
Yeah.
I don't think we have too
too
many big items, but then I guess if we need to amend the agenda and add some stuff, you know what I mean? I always worry about getting it too early and then you don't pick up stuff that comes up, but
I just wanted to bring this up before I forget about it. Speaking of.
Thanks, Tom.
thank you. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'll see you guys in 10 minutes.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.